This is J. Krishnamurti's first public discussion in Saanen, 1964.
I didn't expect so many. Did you? The whole idea of a discussion is something very different from the dictionary meaning. The dictionary meaning is examine through argument. At least that's what I think discussion means, the word. Examine through argument. We are not merely going to examine through argument, through verbal exchange, but also we are trying to go much deeper. Not only linguistically analytical, but also open our own minds and our feelings, if one can use the word, expose oneself as it were in a mirror, so that we see ourselves completely. At least that's what I think a discussion should be. We have tried in India and elsewhere different kinds of discussions, and probably with a large group like this, it might be difficult if we merely wandered all over the place. So I would suggest, if I may, that we should take one subject and go to the very end of it, so completely that one understands it as deeply and widely as possible. At least that's what I would like to do. And perhaps you also may feel that's worthwhile if we could take one thing at a time for each morning. We've got 8 mornings, one subject, one feeling, one thought, one experience, one problem, and come grips with it, not only verbally but actually. Put our teeth into it and go into it very deeply, so that perhaps when we do leave each morning we have resolved one thing at least at a time. Do you also approve of that kind of discussion? Yes? Yes. Right. So, what shall we take this morning? Huh? Being? La paix. Do you want to discuss la paix? I want
the unknown, bringing it into the known.
I wonder why we don't want to discuss peace. Huh? I had lady thinks that we had already talked about it. That's quite a different.
They're afraid of it.
They're afraid of it. Beg pardon? Thought. No, just let's go slowly. There are too many subjects. Let's go at it slowly. Do we discuss peace?
Yes.
Wait a minute, sir. Do we discuss? Listen, if we could discuss one subject that will include peace, thought, and what that gentleman asked, bringing the unknown into the known, or freeing the mind from the known. What? What? We could discuss problems. Look, let us limit ourselves this morning to discuss these three things: peace, thought, and find out if we can free the mind from the burden of the many things that we know, so that it can function freely, easily, without effort. Shall we limit it to that this morning, to those? I am not excluding anything, but we're trying to, otherwise we'll wander all over the place and waste our time. Now, how do we discuss this? From what point of view? Or with a mind that is really mature?
Loving personal peace.
Personal peace, sir? The gentleman says personal peace. Just a minute, before we discuss peace, thought, and the other thing, I'm asking myself, shouldn't we also find out whether we are discussing these things maturely or immaturely? So we ought to find out, shouldn't we, what do we mean by maturity, right? I am not trying to impose something on you. I want to discuss peace. Let's say I want to discuss peace, but I must discuss it, explore it with a very, very shallow mind. And therefore I shan't be able to go into it very deeply. So I need a mature mind to discuss peace, right? I need not only a mature mind to discuss peace, I need mature mind to discuss everything, right? So before we go into the particular subject, we ought to find out what we mean by mature, having a mature mind. Is that all right?
Yes.
Otherwise we'll discuss merely words, clever disputations and arguments and all that, get lost in that. So I think we ought to find out what we mean by mature mind.
Can we discuss without memory?
No, please.
What we have said about
No, I'm asking one thing. I'm trying to find out what we mean by mature mind. A mature being. A mind that is ripe. A mind that has, has substance, value, significance. A mind that has explored, discovered, understood. The mind that has lived tremendously. Don't think we ought to discuss that a little bit? That word and what lies behind that word and the significance of that before we go into any particular subject.
Does a mature mind have an impersonalness in it?
Is the mature mind impersonal? No. It says might be objective. Now wait a minute, please. Now how are we discussing this? How are we exploring it? Now, you understand my question? Here is a thing. I want to find out what is a mature mind. I can't hear it, sorry, somebody... A mind that is free from influence. No, wait a minute, please. Are you giving explanations of a mature mind? Or what a mature mind should be? Are you defining having a concept of a mature mind? Or are you trying to be mature? You understand what I mean? Which is it? And on that basis, lady says, we have very, very few of us are mature. Now, please, do listen to what is being said before you make a statement. Are we discussing, exploring, analyzing merely theoretically that we should have a mature mind, and a mature mind is this, this and this, which is again a formula, a concept, a pattern? Or are we trying to find out for ourselves, not verbally, but actually the state of a mature mind? You see the difference? Personally, I would not be interested in a concept, in an idea what a mature mind would be. That's merely theoretical, analytical, it has no meaning. But what I would like to find out is what is a mature mind, and discover that state of maturity. You follow what I mean? Discover it, be in it, and from there discuss. That would be fun. That would have tremendous significance if we could discuss that way.
A mature mind can express the whole being of a man, not only concepts.
Yes, sir. The gentleman says the mind can express the totality of one's being and not merely concepts.
Yes.
Now, to express the totality of one's being, the mind must be mature, must have a quality of depth and seriousness, depth and a humility, again words. So, how can we discover and be in that state of maturity and from there discuss? So we'll have to find out for ourselves what it is to be mature. Not verbally. You will tell me one thing and I'll tell you another, we'll argue, we'll say no, this is not it, that is not it, but that won't make us mature in an instant. Right? You see, if I may put it, what interests me personally, if I may talk about it, is to be mature instantly, not day after tomorrow. And I think it is possible, not theoretically, I think it is possible to be so intense, to be so attentive, to be so serious that the mind is mature. I don't know if I'm immediately. That's again a theory. Now, what is a mature mind? Obviously, it is not age in the sense number of years, 60 or 10 years. Years, time has nothing to do with maturity, right? Huh? Huh?
Must surely have something to do with it.
No. You see, wait. Look at it. Has time anything to do with mature mind? He says yes, it must have something to do with it. I don't know, isn't mature mind always in the present? No, please, just, there is a statement made, let's stick to that time is necessary to mature. That is, many years, many centuries, a day, a minute. Time is necessary, he says, to mature. And we are first considering that. Is it necessary? No, don't say no or yes. No, voyons. Huh? No. Is a child mature in mind? Good Lord. We are not children here. You're not. I said age, number of years, or lives, time, is not necessary for maturity. Huh?
So, if a child is mature, age is not necessary for
A child does need time.
a child needs time, so there is time.
So the lady says time is involved because a child needs time to mature. So we must find out what we mean by maturity. You, I have lived 30, 20 or 70 years. We are matured in body. Some of us at least. And grown old. Would you call that maturity? We have had a great deal of experience.
There's nothing to do. You brought the time.
I am bringing that element. I brought the time element into it. I am going into it. I am going into the question of maturity. So please have a little patience. I see the child and the mature so-called age has time. Time is, the child is different from me. There's time involved. But though time is involved, are we mature?
Are we not mature the moment we see that we're very immature, and therefore realizing that anything that we do promulgates the immaturity, and if we're there, then we come to this very serious state of maturity.
Yes, Miss Essel, but just a minute, just go slow. People say, time is necessary for maturity. not only physically, not only to develop the brain, and so on, time is necessary. No?
You need a certain cultural element involved because you don't have the language, you don't have anything, all that takes time.
That we said that, madam. We said that.
All right. When you start from there, then you have maturity. Now, you say, are you mature? You judge, are you
I am not judging, madam. I think we are not quite understanding each other. I am not saying judging you whether you are mature or immature. That would be stupid on my part.
You say mature when you think one is mature, another one...
No, madam, écoutez, I am not saying that. We are trying to find out what is maturity. I have lived 70 and 10 or 80 or 30 years, and I've had great meal of experience, thought a great deal, read a great deal, traveled a great deal, looked at so many things. And I ask myself, does that make for maturity? Time, experience, living in various types of relationships, does that make for maturity? Now, wait, madam, don't agree or disagree. We are examining. I won't discuss all of it. And I find time, in the sense I've just explained, doesn't bring about maturity. I can live 1,000 years as I am living now, with experiences, with sorrow, with frustrations, misery, and all the rest of it. I can live like that. And yet, that doesn't seem to bring about a maturity. Go ahead, sir, don't...
Say that there is a man who has a mature life. Now, there was a time, perhaps, there was a time when he was not mature. And his maturity represents a change from what he was. And certainly, one wouldn't expect a completely ignorant, primitive person to suddenly blossom into maturity.
Obviously, sir, don't make the obvious statements.
All right.
I don't expect a man living in Africa who is very, very, very primitive, savage, to suddenly mature. Obviously not.
So therefore, the process of time surely has entered into.
I know this, sir. Don't tell me this. I'm not such a fool. So don't repeat the obvious thing. We say time is necessary for maturity. We generally accept that. And I say, does time bring maturity? I'm questioning it. I see it does. Age, a culture, a civilization, all that implies time.
Yes, but it doesn't necessarily bring.
That's it. There, at last we are getting. You may have time, but it does not necessarily bring about maturity, right? So, what brings about maturity? Not in the sense that time is necessary, you follow? Wait, sir. Vipan? Now please don't give explanations. Here is a statement made. Time as we have explained, does not necessarily bring about a maturity. Right? Then what does? Vipin? Huh?
The state of the mind.
The state of the mind. You see, how... Yes, sir?
Specifically is that when you speak about chronological and psychological time, it is clear. But now we are speaking of two kinds of time, and it is not so clear, the difference of the two, in this case.
That's quite right, sir. The gentleman says, I don't know if you have heard at the back, that when we talk about time as chronological time and psychological time, that is very clear. But here we are getting confused. We are saying chronological time does not necessarily bring about a psychological maturity. Right? I'm afraid I can't hear it all. If somebody here has heard it, please repeat it so that... A mind that has the capacity to inquire is a mature mind. Is that it? The mind that is
in a state of...
Yes, in a mind that is in a state of inquiry, not limiting its inquiry to its own limited experiences, but trying to really discover, such a mind is a mature mind. Now wait a minute, that's again, we are merely describing what a mature mind is. Please, do...
Seems to me that one element of changes to a mature mind, or of the mature mind, would be to really understand that time is not the essential element.
That's all. Wait. That gentleman is saying it may be necessary for a mature mind to discover that time is not necessary for maturity. Right? That's what you're stating. So let us be clear what we are discussing. That we are trying to find out what it is to be mature. We have confused the issue by saying time is necessary. And we went further saying time may not bring about maturity. So, if we think in terms of time, that may indicate immaturity. Right? If psychologically I use time as a means of maturity, then that very process brings about immaturity. If I use time to break down a habit, a thought, a desire, an ambition, greed, envy, or anything, use time to get rid of it, that very mind which uses time is an immature mind. Is that right? Do we come to that point?
Yes.
The lady says, if I say that I am immature, can that be the beginning of maturity? That's partly, but that's not the entire thing. But much more significant is this question of time. Would it be right if we say that when we use time, right, that I will be better tomorrow, that I will through time reach understanding, that through time I shall be rid of sorrow, that through time I shall be free of my problems? Such a mind that thinks in those terms is an immature mind, right? Huh? Right? You say yes. But we do think in those terms. I'm not judging. I'm not saying you think, I don't. I'm not judging. But all of us think in those terms of time. So I say, by Jove, as long as I think that way, I am immature. Isn't that? Now, is there a different way of thinking? Is there a different way of looking at a problem without time? You understand what I'm saying? That is, I won't think in terms of tomorrow. I will not have, I won't think in terms of the gradual process. There is no gradual achievement. We are talking of psychologically, you understand? I need time to go from here to the place I live. That time we are not discussing. We are discussing of a time which the mind uses as a means of psychological achievement. Wait, sir. First, let us be clear that we are clear of the statement of the fact. Not how it is going to affect us, what it's going to do. But let us first see what we are discussing. That is, we say we are used to think in terms of time, in terms of the gradual achievement. And we said that as long as the mind is thinking in terms of gradual achievement, such a mind is an immature mind. I mean, don't we, when I think that I will be someday a perfect human being, be aware of all my reactions, conscious, unconscious, understand everything, and to become so perfect I need time. Then such a mind that thinks in terms of that is an immature mind.
You said that the fact was that our minds did think it was true.
What beg pardon?
You said the fact was that our minds did think in terms of time and gradual achievement and so on. And certainly that is true. My mind does operate in that way.
Wait, the gentleman says it's certainly true that his mind operates in that way. Now what's the next question?
Then your question was, is there another way that the mind could operate?
That's right.
Other than in that way?
Yes. He says, is there any other way that the mind, which has been operating through gradual process, to operate quite differently?
But it seems to me that my mind cannot operate in any other way as long as I want to achieve.
He says, my mind cannot operate in any other way as long as it is seeking achievement. Now, may I put it round the other way? Just listen. My mind has been used to function within the field of time, covering a distance, space, achieving, moving from this to that, right? From this state to that state. And it has, through laziness, through various forms of inducement, postponed and thinks in those terms and functions in those terms. Now, what is my mind to do when it's so used to that? Huh? Wait. First think, madam, don't answer me yet. My mind always thinks in terms of time, the gradual process. And you are asking me, is there another way? And I say, I don't know, but let me find out. That would be my natural response. I don't know the other way, but let me find out. Not it should do something or that. You follow? So I say, now what is it to do? First, I am aware that this mind operates in time. Now we know what that means. We don't have to explain over and over again. Now, it is used to that pattern. And you come along and suggested to it. That may not be the way to maturity. There may be a different way of maturity, right? Now, before I see the new way to mature, I must see the falseness of this, mustn't I? No?
Yes.
Come on, madam. Sorry, I can't hear.
Could I say something? To me, this business of achieving is a technique. Yes, you have to. I mean, you learn to write, take time.
But that's understood, madam.
That's all right. Then the other way, when you try to understand something, has nothing to do with time.
That's all we ask.
Look intensely to something. Just try to understand that has nothing to do with time.
But we have spent nearly half an hour in discussing that very simple thing.
That's the other thing, and it's not achieving or anything.
But madam, that's what I've been talking about that for the last half an hour, trying to point out.
If we're aware that I see the fault, may I ask now the question, what is the next step after?
Wait, I'm coming to that, sir. I'm coming to that. First, let me see very clearly how I have confused the issue in myself. That I have used time in a wrong way. I'm very clear about that. Now, and seeing that being false, that does not bring about maturity, then I say to myself, what does? What makes the mind perceive, understand the totality of something which is mature? First I must stop the first process, mustn't I? Right, sir? Now, do we stop it? Do I stop that first process in my daily life? I know technologically and all the rest of it needs time, but do I, when I'm afraid, when I'm angry, when I have a particular habit, when I'm jealous, do I stop it or understand it immediately and not introduce time into it? Let me be. So, if one has a habit of smoking, and you see it is a habit, and when you say, I will get rid of it by smoking 1 cigarette less every day, exercising my will, control, all that implies time, doesn't it? Time in the sense we are talking, madam. Or can I stop it immediately? If I stop it immediately, it doesn't involve time at all. If I don't stop it immediately, time is involved. If I'm aware that I'm jealous and don't stop it and bring it to an end immediately, time is involved.
Most people, consciously or unconsciously, cling to their immaturity and their habit, and they want to continue that, and therefore they...
Of course, you may want to continue. The lady suggests you may want to continue to be jealous. All right, continue with it. Smoke, do whatever you want, but that's not the problem. That's not the question. Can I act with any problem immediately and end it immediately? The mind that does not deal with time and faces the fact and understands the fact immediately and resolves it immediately, such a mind is a mature mind, right? And don't agree with me, for God's sake.
So this instantaneous requires a certain judgment, doesn't it, which would be implied time also?
See all the complications involved in it, sir, certainly. Look, I'll take one example and go into it. Perhaps two or three. If one smokes, and the doctor has told you you must stop because bad for your lung and cancer and all the rest of it. Through fear, you try to stop it. The motive is fear that makes you stop it. If the fear is very great, you stop it immediately. With resistance, with fight, you go through all the tortures. That is not a mature act, is it? Because behind it, there is the motive of fear. So an act, follow this mnemonic, watch it. An act which has a motive is not a mature act.
Where does continual physical pain come from?
We'll take one thing at a time, please. One thing at a time. That is, if I act through fear, through reward, through memory, through a desire to stop something, smoke, jealousy, etc., in that is involved time, because motive means time. Don't look at it first. Now, let's look at another example. I'm jealous. If I like it, and if I think that's part of love to be jealous, as many people do, then I keep it. Then there's no problem involved. I like to be jealous. Now, if I realize jealousy is not it has not the perfume of love, and I realize jealousy is painful, I say to myself, I'll get rid of it gradually. By watching, by control, by being aware, by holding myself and so on and so on. I may get rid of that jealousy through that process, which is again introducing the psychological time and therefore postponing my real getting rid of that jealousy. Or I see the whole nature of jealousy, the whole structure, the inward, the outward, all the connections, the relationship which has brought this particular feeling, and seeing it completely without any motive, without any effort, I can end it. And I just described that through smoking a cigarette.
So can I talk about this question of smoke? It is very interesting for me. Because after years that I tried to stop to smoke with willpower, with fear and so, just 1 year ago, I stopped it.
Stop
Without
what?
effort,
What, sir?
Without effort. I don't know why.
What,
But
sir?
it is not
Stopped what, sir?
smoking. But I don't know. Now the problem for me is that I don't know why it happened. I stopped just by stop. But it is not anything depending from me. So I can say that it's not come dice a italiano in Italia. È una cosa che quasi non mi soddisfa di aver smesso di fumare in questa maniera. You know.
Sì, sì, io capisco.
The way you spoke about is the same way. for other things, psychological things.
So our question becomes very clear. We're just dealing with questions still. That a mind that has used time, which we have, psychologically, inwardly to get rid of something, such a mind that uses time, we say, is not a mature mind. But the mind that sees something very clearly, without the element of time, and the very clarity of perception ends that thing, such a mind is a mature mind. For the time being, we haven't gone much deeply into it yet, we're just scratching at the surface of it. So can we say that being aware of my immaturity in the sense of using time, being aware of it, what takes place next? You follow? I am aware that I have used time as a means, as a psychological means. I become aware of it, right? Now, what do I mean I become aware of it? How do I become aware of that fact? And what do I mean by being aware? I am aware that I am smoking. I am also aware that I will get rid of it slowly. And also I am aware, because I happened to hear you this morning, that doesn't bring a quality of cleanliness, depth to the mind, maturity. I am aware, I see all that. I smoke. Also, I am aware that I used to postpone it. Also, I have heard what you have said this morning. Now, I want to know what you mean by being aware. I say I am aware of those three facts. What do I mean by being aware? Beg your pardon? Knowledge of a will which is greater than the human will. That becomes too complex for me. I want to deal with the simple thing, that is, I am aware. I want to know what I mean by being aware. Just wait, please, don't explain to me. I'm also good at explaining. So begin slowly. What do I mean by being aware? I am aware that you are sitting there. I am aware of all the colors. I am aware of the shape of the heads, the color of the hair, the spectacles, the faces, the shape of the nose. I am aware of the tent. Aware, objectively first, right? Right? And then, wait, I'll get complex. I'll make it a little more complex. I must begin from the first, outside. I can't jump into it. I am aware externally of the things. Then from the external, I move in. I say, what is my reaction to that color? I don't like it or like it, depending on my prejudice. I like that nose, so on. I go deeper and deeper and deeper. From the outer, I come to the inner. And then I say to myself, by Jove, look what I'm doing. I'm dividing the outer and the inner. I hope you're following all this. And I see that this division is not a complete awareness. As I said the other day, to be completely aware of something, to be completely aware of a tree, there must be no division between the tree and the observer. The observer mustn't identify himself with the tree. That is not awareness. That's part of it, but that's not total awareness. I hope you're following all this, right? So, to observe the tree without the observer, so that there is no distance between the observer and the observed, and that there is no identification with the tree, but there is only the quality of that tree alone, with all its beauty, with all its quality, and not me looking at it. Now, can I be aware of my smoking, jealousy in that way? And it seems to me that is the way to look at something maturely, so that there is not the distance between me and the tree, me and the jealousy, me and smoking. And so, a total awareness of the fact itself, not me observing, evaluating, and so on.
I think that only happens, when you see it so clearly that it's not necessary for the observer to see it.
That's all. That is, when you see it very clearly. And we can see it only very clearly when there is no projection of what I like, I don't like, of my judgment, of my evaluation. Seeing something very clearly.
When you don't see it clearly, then the observer has to look around.
All the rest of it. So a mature mind sees clearly. So, to see clearly, time is not necessary.
Is therefore the next step
Right.
seeing the false as the false. The step of this awareness, which I see. I use now the word
Go ahead, sir, use any word.
conscious and unconscious as one in one entity. Is that the next step after I recognize the false?
Yes. You recognize the false as the false only when you see it very clearly. Not seeing it as a duality, as something opposed to the truth. Now, I see very clearly jealousy. Not because it is evil, because it causes pain, because it is not love, because it is etc., etc. I see it as the fact itself and not in comparison with something else. When I compare, I am wandering away from the fact. So I see that, so there is clarity of perception only when the time element has ceased. Which means when there is no comparison at all, no condemnation, no judgment, no, just observation. Now just we have said something just now. Are you listening or are you merely seeing? Have you listened to what is being said? Now, how have you listened?
I'm watching what you're talking about.
And you see, that's it. I asked you, have you listened? You said yes. Then I say, how have you listened? You don't answer my question. What was the state of your mind when you are listening? Therefore, you're not listening. When you say, my mind was active, you are somewhere else. You're not listening. You are trying to find out arguments against it. And it is not so, it is so, agreeing, disagreeing, they're evaluating. You are not listening. Listen and then evaluate. Or discard. Say what you say, talking about is rubbish. Throw it out. But first you have to listen.
Because my mind says that you said the opposite way around. You said that you can't. Until time has ceased, you don't see clearly. It seems to me that the other way around. And when you see clearly, then time ceases. So my mind is occupied with that.
Here is a fact of jealousy. As smoking. A fact. Do you look at that fact? Listen to that fact? Or are you listening with one ear and listening to other facts, other intentions, other pursuits with the other ear?
I must be concentrated.
Huh?
I must be concentrated on
I must be concentrated on
the subject.
the subject. Sorry.
I'm trying to see what you are saying. That's right.
Lady says, I am trying to see what you are saying. That is not, I am saying nothing. I am asking you if you are listening. Now wait. Very interesting. There is a train went by just now. Were you listening to it? Huh? That's it. Quite right, sir. Quite right, sir. You are not listening to it. Only with a half ear, because you were concentrated here. Right? You were fixed here, and that was a disturbance. Therefore, you resisted listening. Therefore, you're listening only with half a ear. Now, if you are not concentrated, trying to listen, but be aware to what is being said by everybody, then that would not have been a disturbance, you would have listened, as you would have listened to what is being said.
What happens if the disturbance is from inside?
The same thing. What happens to the disturbances inside? Listen to it. When we have disturbance outside, we resist it because we are interested to listen to something else. When we have disturbances inside, we don't like it. We want to get rid of it. We want to push it away. We want to operate on it. We don't listen. Now, that aeroplane is going overhead, taking along a glider. Listen to it. Completely listen to it. When one listens completely, one is totally attentive, right? This complete listening and complete attention is maturity. And don't translate it that way, sir. Don't say total receptivity. Now, what is there to be received? That word receptivity means to receive. Who is receiving? What is there to receive? You are just listening.
Sir, in the state of the mind, is there a substance?
Is there?
Is there a substance? Like an experience?
No. There is no. Sir, if you listen to that aeroplane, listen attentively, completely, not concentratedly. Was there a center which was listening? A subjective being which was listening? Only a state of listening to the noise and nothing else. So, we better stop. It's 11:45. We are discussing the state of a mind that is mature. We see that when the mind uses time, and it is necessary to learn technology and so on, time is necessary. But when mind uses psychologically the framework of time, then such a mind is immature. And we also see very clearly that when the fact of using time only makes the mind immature, then that very perception of that fact is the ending of time. You don't have to do a thing about it. When you listen to that plane completely, there was no resistance. In the same way, you can see that the use of time psychologically is the way of immaturity. That very perception is clarity, and that clarity is maturity. That's enough for this morning, isn't it?